Welcome Annakuma crew, it is once again your favourite friendly despair bear Annakuma, and I'm here with another demo review, this time of a little bit different of a game. Did that sentence make sense? I wrote it, and bears always make sense, so we'll keep it. Today we'll be looking at Cross Color's visual novel Comet Angel. This game will be releasing in the back end of the year on October 28th, and I do like a good visual novel that promises some action in between, so let us see how it all goes. Comet Angel is the simple story of Izzy and Nat, two best friends who go to watch a comet pass by.
Wow, it's huge. It's incredible. So what is it exactly?
And end up finding a snake-like alien that has fallen off the comet into the pond in front of them, and to get back home needs to eat some metal. In exchange for said metal, the comet snake, Christian Fairy by Izzy I believe, will tell the two girls their future. Now, I have to admit that I only played the first chapter. It did start going into the second chapter, but I Alt F4'd out of the game. Usually, I'd wait to say something like this until after I talked about the story, but I do feel visual novels have a unique demo problem of what to show. Very often for adventure games, the opening puzzle is the perfect way to introduce you to the game, and platformers can take whatever they want out of context and throw you into a setting to try out the buttons. Hell, even horror games will have a moment that they can throw in, and some games are even going for prologues instead of demos now, so that they can create a short experience that introduces the idea of the game, but which won't necessarily be in the full release. What does a visual novel do though? Comet Angel's big problem is that Chapter 1 itself is 34 minutes roughly of reading. No puzzle, just plot. That's fine when you sit down to play the full game, but I feel by the end of Chapter 1 I should have had enough of an idea of what the full game will be to make an opinion. The truth is, I don't have much to go on other than the story of the game, because there weren't any puzzles in the opening part. So you might think this is me saying I hate it. I don't. It is a unique problem that visual novels will just have. Do you throw them into a part with puzzles and actions but no idea on the story and potentially spoilers for that story? Do you just give them one chapter, then the second one might have more to it? Where do you plonk the demo players? None of this stopped the story of Comet Angel being compelling though. It is more of an interesting thought and one I couldn't stop having whilst playing it. I enjoyed the story that we got told, meeting Izzy and Nat made so much sense, and the basic premise of the story being told wasn't a bad shot, but it did leave me wondering how other things will end up playing like, or even how much of the puzzle aspect we'll even get. Especially as the main game is so far in the user tags tagged under point and click, which is probably why it ended up on my radar in the first place. I'll stop with this though, because I guess it is a bigger discussion on demos at a later date. Let us talk about how I felt about the actual story. Honestly, on Chapter 1 alone, I think I will be buying the game when it releases later in the year. I don't know when I'll play it, as it comes out in a difficult part of the year where Spoopy Month is just finishing, and then everything that gets put off for October needs to be finished, and I might, if they do it again, join December again, but I'll be sure playing it in my free time on the strength of just the story, characters and voice acting alone. Both girls have a little depth to them, which I like. Izzy is a stereotypical smart nerd.
Because knowing the scientific names of centipedes is more useful.
Not exactly sure how you're defining useful there.
She's being raised by a single mum, and her main conflict is worrying about what happens to her mum when she inevitably goes off to college. Her wish is mainly to see what happens in general, I guess to know if it's all gonna be worth it in the end. Nat, on the other hand, is a poet. Her family wants to make more of her life, but she rebels against it, and she rebels hard. All Nat wants to know is if she'll be happy, a thought I can really relate to.
I just want to see me. I want to see that I'm alright. Happy, you know?
I don't think I do know.
It takes Izzy by surprise because it isn't knowledge of something tangible, but I feel most people would be happy to know at the end of whatever they are facing, they'll just be happy at the end, you know? Just being happy is a truly underrated goal in life.
You really are weird sometimes, you know that?
Whilst neither of the girls are really relatable to me personally, I did relate to their wishes for what they want to see in the future. It is easy to understand both of their motivations and their fears, even if they don't strike a chord with you personally. They also just come over as real teenagers. Comet Angel's dialogue and voice acting feel natural enough that at times it was like listening to my niece, who is currently 15, turning 16 this year, maybe even 16 by the time this video releases, on one of her rambles about her life. Nothing is fair to teenagers. They know better than anyone, and so on and so forth, but done in a way that really wasn't super rebelling against the machine, because I don't think either girl really had a set path beyond what the world has told them they should have. Whilst I did like it, and I feel the game will be a nice story with some more human drama in it than anything supernatural or over the top, I do find much of it hollow, which in one chapter doesn't matter, but if the story ends up being hollow the entire way through, it could be a problem. Where this feeling comes from is that it doesn't really have an anchor in any of their emotional stories yet. Izzy is the weaker of the two for many reasons, but she makes the hollow feelings worse, I feel. She has a personality, she's very preoccupied with bugs, she knows where she is going, but she's also just written to be a know-it-all that, to be fair, doesn't know it all, but it feels they gave her big words in a speech on how Nat's father shouldn't force her to do more math classes to get better at maths, because doing so is illogical, and it all just falls apart. How, Izzy, is it illogical to send someone to more math classes if they aren't doing well in maths? As the smart kid, you're meant to be the one that is motivating Nat to do better, not telling her that her father's totally logical, if a little strict and not listening to his daughter's feelings, actions are wrong. It isn't so much that Izzy is against it that makes it hollow, it is the dialogue used, the lack of any sense to what she says, and she's meant to be the smart one. There are also moments where Izzy generally does something that I feel was insensitive, and Nat bites back, but it always inevitably ends up being Nat that has to apologize and feel bad.
I'm going home now.
Huh? Wait. Izzy, I'm sorry. Izzy, wait. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. Come back. I'm really sorry, Izzy. I got mad and I didn't mean...
Again, it just feels like hollow drama to push on a narrative instead of smart writing to get them to the points they need to be. Overall, that, as I've said, will only be a problem if the game never gives much more substance to anything, but this is Chapter 1, and mainly there to introduce the characters, the setting and the story, so I'm not overly worried yet about that. Maybe I would have been if I played Chapter 2, who knows. What really brings it together is the art style though. It is a really washed out watercolor looking style that feels cozy. I can see some really emotional moments really pulling a hefty punch with the use of the art style. All the characters do look a little strange to me, but it adds to its charm. I don't know what it is, but their eyes and noses seem off sometimes, and the faces sometimes maybe a little long. Either way, it looks beautiful, and these little moments where things fell off just added to that. There isn't much more to say other than this though about the demo, but I feel I've rambled a lot, so I should sum it up. I genuinely think Comet Angel would be a great visual novel for fans of visual novels, even more so for people that like slice-of-life stories about teenagers trying to find their way. There could be other elements later in the game, what with there being an alien in the mix which I haven't even talked about, but I do feel it will be a very emotional and interesting story. Actually, quick thing about the alien, it talks in emojis and I hated that. It really doesn't affect the game, but I just hate it, please don't do that. Overall, the voice acting, the dialogue, and the art direction help give it a really cozy vibe that I'm down to explore when the game comes out, and if it seems up your street as always, the link to the game to wishlist will be in the description below. But I am all done talking about Comet Snakes today, my friends. As always, leave a like, comment how you feel about visual novel demos in the comment section below, and subscribe to support this here, not Alien Bear, and let them see numbers go up, which makes me very happy. Also, follow us on twitch.tv/Annakuma with 2 A's at the end, where I actually play visual novels on Saturdays. We're currently getting through the Great Ace Attorney series and the Zero Escape series, based on when my moderator Avia can be around for Zero Escape. It would be the day I would slot this in if I do stream it, so give me a follow to find out if I do. Till then though, thank you as always for watching, and bye bye.